Disclaimer: this episode was recorded 1 week after Melodrama had dropped. It is now being released over a month later. Apologies for the delay. Hi guys, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Popheads podcast. I am your host, Rihanna, aka 4th of July.
I'm Commas.
I'm Tuck, or Awesome Tuck 1559.
Hello everyone, I'm Mudkip1.
And I'm Ben, or bluehxrizon.
Hello.
Fourth.
Yeah, that's our cast. So recently, there were a bunch of big releases in the pop music world, most notably albums from artists like Katy Perry and DJ Khaled. But the most critically acclaimed and obviously most important of these is the one, the only, and the best, Melodrama by Lorde. The album was released to universal acclaim and currently has a 91 on Metacritic, which is insanely good. So, much like our inaugural podcast episode, where we discussed Joanne track by track the weekend of release, this episode will be doing the same for Lorde 1 week later. So, it's like a retrospective of the album 1 week later. So, let's start from the beginning. Track 1, Green Light. The first single of the era, and the first track on the album. Who has anything to say?
It's definitely probably the most mainstream, I guess you could call it, track on the album. It seems like it was built for radio play, and it has a lot of the classic hallmarks of an Antonoff produced hit. I remember when it got released, it was there was sort of a divide because people thought Lorde was going more mainstream and thought her sound was getting compromised by Jack's production, but I think it turned out good, especially when we were starved for Lorde for 4 years. I was just happy to get anything new. I mean, it could have been a feature on a DJ Khaled song, and I would have liked it. So, I mean, Green Light, I'm pretty happy with. I'd probably say it's probably my least favorite on the album, just because so many of the others have such a unique sound and
yeah, I agree with that.
they feel like an evolution.
Would you say it's your least favorite, or do you like it the least? You know what I mean? Do you not like it, or do you just like it the least?
I like it the least. Everything. I like everything. I love the whole album. It's like a masterpiece in my mind, but I like it the least, which is a hard thing to pick. It's like saying who's your least favorite child.
I think I'm in the minority when I say that I really like Jack Antonoff production, and I
like it too.
I think this song is a great example of it. Oh, great. Fantastic. I'm not the only Antonoff supporter. But I mentioned this on podcasts before, Bleachers is one of my favorite bands, and Jack Antonoff is one of my favorite producers, which is why I think I like this song so much. It was a great lead-off to the era because it had just this sound that was new for Lorde, which I think is good when you're trying to reinvent yourself for a new album. But I think the production is really, really good about it. It's oddly house-inspired, you know what I mean? Which sounds really, really cool. Yeah, with the piano, it sounds kind of offbeat a little, but you can dance to it, which I think is what Lorde was going for. I just think that all around the production's amazing, which is why I like it so much. And Jack Antonoff can never do any wrong, in my opinion. So
I'm just sad because I miss Jack Antonoff and Fun.
Oh. Yeah, I agree that it's a good song, and I loved it when it first came out, but it's definitely probably toward the bottom of my favorite tracks on the album. I still give it probably an 8.5 or a 9 though, just because of how much I love this album. But I think it was almost too poppy for Lorde, maybe. That's probably a weird opinion, although I think other people agree with it. But the whole rest of the album is almost nothing like Green Light, so it threw me off. I remember when I was listening to the album and how different it was, especially how different Sober is compared to Greenlight, which is the second track on Melodrama. Great transition, I know, right?
That was way too fast. Ben didn't even get to talk, my dude.
Yeah.
Well, I know it was, but okay. Yeah, whatever. We can keep going.
Ben, you have anything to say?
My opinion on it, like, I thought it was pretty polarizing.
Greenlight?
I thought it was pretty polarizing when it came out. Like, when I was seeing the reactions, like, on Discord and on the sub, like, it seemed like everyone had, like, a pretty different opinion on what the song was like. And, like, I'll admit, like, at first, I mean, I didn't really like the song that much. I was kind of disappointed. I was kind of like, oh, I wish she had made something more similar to Pure Heroine. But like the rest of the album, I thought it was like a huge grower. So
yeah, it definitely grew on me.
Yeah, it grew on, like, at first I would have rated it maybe like a 6.5 or a 7, but now it's probably an 8.5. Like, I really like the pre-chorus, and you can kind of hear her backing vocals flying through over the top, if that makes sense. And then the final chorus, the production, after she stops singing and you just hear, like, I'm waiting for it, that green light, I want it. That production is amazing. And I was actually really surprised that Jack Antonoff came out with something like that, because I've never been the biggest fan of him. But yeah, I think it's a pretty great track.
Yeah.
Greenlight's one of my favorite songs of the year. I mean singles, but songs too. And,
Yeah, I think so too.
I already talked about it on podcast episode 2, but I really like it. I think it's still one of the stronger songs on the album, even though I like them all, obviously. And I thought it was good for setting the tone of the album as an opener.
Yeah, I thought as an opener it did really good too.
It worked really well as an opener, especially with the whole party concept that she was going for.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. Like, it was really, really good to introduce the theme of, like, the party and, like, the sort of concept album kind of thing. Like, it was a great, great segue to the sounds of the rest of the album. Yeah,
it's, like, because you can tell, like, she's just, like, getting over this breakup, and so she's like, okay, I want to go to this party and, like, forget about it all. And that's how I feel like the album starts to develop, because in the next few songs she's just kind of like, let's forget, like, let's blow things up, like, made with homemade dynamite or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it takes a turn later on.
I feel like if you're trying to see the album as like a concept album and you're trying to take stuff literally, this is like her on the way to the party, because I think this song is really tied to, the song's like really tied to mobility, and I think it works really well if you're like hearing it in a car literally, or like I was riding my bike and I was blasting it, and that's when it like really dawned on me that I liked it so much. So I feel like if like the whole album describes her relationship, her looking back on a relationship and partying, this is like her driving
the beginning of it
to the party.
Well, Lord loves mentioning cars.
Yeah, I agree.
So to open up with a lyric, I do my makeup in somebody else's car, I think that says something. Like, she's, you know what I mean? She's going somewhere. And that somewhere is the party,
almost
I guess.
as much as she loves teeth.
Yeah.
She talks about that too.
Dreams of clean teeth. So moving on to the second track, another single. Personally, I like this song more than Greenlight. It's probably my favorite on the album.
Same.
Sober. Yeah, anybody have anything
Is
to say?
Sober actually a single?
Sober is a single, yeah.
I thought Perfect Places was the next
Sober was
one.
the last single, a week before the album.
Wasn't it just like a promo?
It might have been a promotional single.
It was a promo single, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the official single is Perfect Places. Like, that's the radio single.
Okay.
I think it was like Liability, where it was a promo single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know the first time
the horns on Sober are amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. The horns, when I first listened to it, were amazing. I thought that was so good. And I just like, I don't know, the production on this is definitely one of my favorites on the album. I just think that, like, overall, it just all comes together. There's so many elements. And coming after, like, the song, like the single Greenlight, where it's like this weird, like, mainstream type of thing, like segueing into this, it's basically like Lord's return to form. Like, I listen to this and think, like, this is the evolved version of Pure Heroine, which I love.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like a bait and switch. It's like Greenlight comes in and it's like definitely not what you're expecting, and then Sober comes on, you're like, oh, okay, we're back. We've returned to form, which is like, I know a lot of people were like kind of scared when they heard Greenlight the first time, but when you put on Sober, it's definitely back to like her darker sound, and it ties in obviously with the themes of the album with like partying and failed relationships, and it has her classic lyricism, which I think is why Greenlight works so well as an opener, because you're sort of like caught off guard, but then you go back to your comfortable place where Lorde sings
Oh
about your
wow, yeah.
feelings.
Yeah, I'm high key in love with Lorde's songwriting, and
Mhm.
just like when I got to her singing Jack and Jill get fucked up and possessive when they get dark, like
Yeah.
I
Oh my god.
died.
Yeah, the Jack and Jill metaphor is like my favorite. Like it's
That was a
so
good line.
nice. And it fits too. It like just works.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
basically just agree with what everyone else was saying. Like, I think the production is great. I think it's one of my favorite productions on the album. Like, I really like how it's in the chorus at the start. You can just hear these soft, like warmish synths, and they're barely audible. But and then she's singing in the way she
Yeah,
usually does.
our resident producer
She
coming
does
through.
that vocal thing that she usually does, where she records a high line and then a low line at once.
Oh
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
And so it sounds kind of whispery, but also low at the same time. And then the horns just like kind of bring life into the track. And that's like one of my favorite moments on the whole album.
Yeah, I just think that this is basically like pure heroin to the next level, and it's definitely interesting to see Lorde's progression because this is more like grandiose where pure heroin was a lot of minimalistic stuff.
Hmm.
Like if you listen to Buzzcut Season or whatever, like I just think it sounds very like small. And then you listen to Sober where it's like it has the warm synths
Yeah,
and it
it's
just
woodsy.
sounds big with the horns and everything while also being like a Lorde song and staying like close to home. Like I just
Yeah.
think that it's definitely a really really good it's just a good like progression in her musical output.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's cool how it's a nice contrast from her earlier music while still being a continuation of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a great like build off of her previous work.
Yeah, definitely. But shout out to the voices that are like present throughout the song, the ones that are like saying night,
Oh
the
yeah,
lose
that
my
I
mind.
ignite, lose my mind
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
that those
that threw me off so much at the start, but it
yeah, I
works.
fucking love
I think it
those.
does work.
Also, another teeth reference. So,
We're up to two.
uh, yeah, the second verse starts with, "Oh God, I'm closing my teeth." So,
Oh
classic Lord
yeah,
right there.
I didn't notice that actually. I noticed the teeth references on Greenlight, but not on Soap.
yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the lyrics right now, so that's how I noticed that because I wanted to know what the voices at the beginning said.
I should open those. I should open like the Genius
Yeah.
thing.
The next track, I remember first hearing it when she did her Coachella set, and I
Mhm.
remember just being
Yeah.
like in awe. I know Tucker can talk more about it because he was there, but I just thought that like it was really really cool hearing it live at Coachella and then hearing it on the album. I think there's such a contrast. But
Mhm.
Homemade Dynamite, I love this song so much.
Yeah, that was. I Lord at Coachella was like, I don't know. I'm gonna sound like a rich spoiled kid, but it was really fucking magical, and I
Oh yeah,
liked it
'cause
a
you went
lot.
to Coachella.
Yeah, I got to see her, which was very an enlightening experience. Because like her set design and the production she did with like the rotating box and like the whole party element she took to
That
like
was so
the
cool.
logical extreme, which was like just really amazing. Like no other artist was doing that, and I hope she brings it back for her tour because I got tickets for her tour and I'm very hyped for that as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, Homemade Dynamite. I didn't go to the first weekend, so I was just doing the same thing as you, Rihanna. I was like
Hmm.
just tuning into the live stream and trying to see all the new music, which I probably
Yeah.
shouldn't have done because spoilers, but whatever. Uh, but yeah, I really love Homemade Dynamite. It feels like one of those more relatable tracks, because like obviously this whole album's pretty relatable for people who have like been in failed relationships or been through recent breakups. Like they can connect to the album on a spiritual level. But with Homemade Dynamite, it just sounds like doing dumb shit with your friends that you can get into because you're partying and having fun. So like the lyrics really connect to people who listen to it in that age range, I guess, which is what a lot of Pure Heroine was like too, which is just like going through the world with a teenage viewpoint and understanding how your feelings and decisions affect those around you. So like Homemade Dynamite, especially when she wrote this stuff when she was like 19, I think, around 19. So like this is definitely one of the tracks that more people can connect to, even if they're single and have been for a while.
Well, I didn't like it.
You don't like it?
No. Not that it's a bad song, because it's not. It's probably like still like a 7, but I thought it's one of, after something as good as what Sober was, I think it was kind of a weird choice to put it right after it, especially with the first lyrics at the very beginning. I don't think, because Sober ends abruptly and then it starts, I don't know, she starts really, really slow into the next track, and I feel like she could have like kept going with something a bit more upbeat, and it didn't really get to there until toward into the chorus. So that was really my only complaint with it, because sometimes I'll find myself like not like skipping this track, and that's like the only track on the album that I don't listen to when I'm playing through the album.
I think it kind of works with Sober though.
Yeah, I think the segue is good from Sober to the Louvre. Like I think it's like a good breaking point, you know what I mean? Because your Sober's really, really huge, and the Louvre is like really, really like, it's sort of muted, but not really. I just think this is like a great song to put in between.
Yeah, we're talking about Homemade Dynamite.
No, I think no. Homemade Dynamite's like a good song to put between
I see.
Okay.
Sober and the Louvre. Like it's a good third track because it's like it kind of brings down the energy to segue into the next song, right? And I think that's like, it's a good thing in like album sequencing where they have like the little lull to kind of bring together the themes of the album, so you're not just being hit with sound after sound after sound. And I think this song does a really, really good thing at keeping it like muted while also being like the connector to connect all the ideas that Lord has going.
Yeah, I like it live more than studio. I liked it at Coachella a lot more than I do on the album.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that too.
All I have to contribute is that a fun fact. This is the only song that Jack Antonoff didn't produce on or write, and also Tovlo helped Lord write it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that.
Well, that's why it's bad. Ha ha ha.
Tovlo's the writer.
I could definitely see the Tovlo influence. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it works with Sober just because these are like, I don't know how to describe it, but they're like the two darkest songs on the album, like in terms of sound, I guess. They just sound dark.
Yeah, they're sonically dark. Like the production is pretty subdued. I guess.
Plus it has my favorite moment on the album, or one of my favorite moments, which is the her little boom noise.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I love that when she did that live.
Yeah, it was so cute.
I originally I thought this song was overrated, but I think this is the best example of the song getting better on repeat listens, because it's just like every time I listen to it, I notice elements that I didn't notice like the first time, you know what I mean? So I originally listened to this album and everybody was freaking out, oh my god, Homemade Dynamite, and I just thought it was okay. And then I listened to the album for a second time and then a third time, and then all of a sudden it clicked and I was like, oh my god, this song's amazing. And now it's like my go-to song whenever I listen to it and like shuffle the album. But I just think that like it gets better and better because the production is so layered while also being, again, like muted, so you always notice something else. Yeah,
I definitely agree that it's a grower.
Definitely a grower.
Yeah.
Another one of the like a song that I thought was a great grower on the album is The Louvre. I don't know how to pronounce Louvre, so please correct me if
That's
I'm
good.
wrong.
You're good.
That's
Yeah,
good.
All
I
right,
think
all
that's
right.
right.
Jersey
Not
girl.
really sure either.
Yeah. I try to be cultured, man. I don't know if it turns out really well. But The Louvre is honestly, I think it's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
repeat
think
listens.
it's probably my current favorite right now.
Yeah. I think it's just so cute. Like it's such a cute song. I don't know. Like when she does the
It
line.
reminds me of one, like a high school drama, like movie romance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just think it's like it's kind of cheesy, but it's like cute on the same time, like the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of
Yeah, exactly.
like when I listen to it, I can't help but smile because it's so cute. Like when she says the line that's like down the back, but
Down
who
the
cares
back,
to
still
the
the Louvre.
Louvre?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that line so much.
love
That's
that
like
line
my
too.
favorite line on the whole album.
I like that it starts off so simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Like with just the strumming guitar.
Yeah, just with the
and then it just
guitars
like
and then-
breaks open and you're like it feels like it opens a whole new world. Like I guess that sort
Yeah.
of mirrors the relationship that she was in, where like it starts out super slow and simple and like flirtatious, and then breaks open and it's a whole entire world with the two of you together. But yeah, I really like it.
I also think this song has some of the best writing on the entire album because the writing on this song
Same.
is like it's really really like layered. You know what I mean? Like the broadcast, the boom boom boom, like I just think that's so cute because it comes just after the line like megaphone to my chest, and you're just like seeing all the images in your head, and it's just like a really really sweet thing to like think about, you know what I mean? It's just really really special.
Lorde is amazing with these metaphors just throughout her entire discography, and I love the way she writes. And personally, Fourth, you said it like was a grower for you. For me, it was like top 2 favorite songs since the first listen. I love the production. I love the writing, and this is actually co-produced by Flume and Malay, which
Oh yeah.
which is awesome, and it that leads me to something I wanted to bring up. I was scared at first when I heard the whole album would be produced by Jack Antonoff because I wasn't a huge fan, but they got so many great co-producers on this album. Like we have Flume, Malay, who produces for Frank Ocean on 3 songs, Frank Dukes, who produces for every rapper now, and S1, who's produced for Kanye. So that's just some of the credits all over the album. So I just love what they did with the production.
Yeah, I think the production is definitely one of the best points. Keep going, Tucker.
That's interesting
Sorry.
that Wale produced for it. No, it's fine. Because this actually reminded me of like a song that could be on Blonde, kind of on the first listen, especially with like the guitar evolving into its own thing.
Okay, now I really want to hear a Frank Ocean cover of this song.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. But no, I have a question for you guys. The first time I listened to this, I thought it sounded very, very much like 1989. And I don't know if that's because of the Antonoff production, but like, do you guys think this was like sort of inspired
The
by
album as a
Taylor
whole,
Swift?
or just the song?
Just the song. Like, do you think like Taylor Swift kind of had influence on some of her music because they used to be friends or whatever?
Yeah, I was about to say it's like 1989 evolved, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's better than that.
Supercut to me sounds the most 1989-ish.
I think it sounds
Yeah.
like Ribs, but
and
we'll
I
get
do
into
like
that
Supercut,
later.
but like it gives me like, yeah.
I just think that like with the guitars at the beginning, I don't know if it's because Taylor Swift like co-opted that sound, but like the guitars at the beginning and how it builds up, like that's just what thought like it sounded like.
I just need to listen to 1989 again, I guess, because I've never really picked up on all the comparisons.
I mean, you're bound to get some similarities with Antonoff producing, but yeah.
Yeah. I just think that like the production definitely ties together a bunch of Antonoff artists. Like Greenlight sounds like a Bleacher song, you know what I mean? Like the just general
Yeah.
Antonoff production. But does anybody have anything else to say?
The ending of the song is great. This is the one with like the 20-second long like guitar instrumental at the end,
Yeah.
isn't it? I love that part.
Oh my god, yeah, that's such a good
The ending
part.
sounds a bit sad to me. Like the ending kind of makes me sad whenever it comes on. It sounds kind of melancholic to me, and especially since it
Melodramatic.
leads into hard feelings, or it leads into liability.
Yeah.
Right?
Liability.
So I think it kind of it feels like they're slowing down the romance, or they're slowing down all the height of these good emotions that Lord and her lover are feeling, and then you go into liability, where she's just
Loving herself.
I think it's one of the best transitions on the album, just that huge outro.
Yeah.
Yeah, the outro is great. So this song was released as the second promotional single, if I remember correctly.
Liability, yeah.
Yeah, Liability. She performed this on SNL with Jack Antonoff, which I thought was an amazing performance.
Oh yeah, that was
But
fantastic.
this serves as like one of the 2 ballads on the album, if you count Writer in the Dark. And I think it's just a great ballad. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely like a departure from most of her stuff with just like a traditional piano ballad, but I really like it. It's one of my favorites, but I can't decide if I like the reprise or the main track better, because like I don't know, maybe if the reprise was longer I'd love it more, but I really like the main track, especially with like usually love ballads are like, you know, to a certain person, but this sort of turns that on its head, where it's like her talking about self-love and being comfortable in her own body. So I like that like sort of subversion of the trope, but like yeah, it's just a really good way for Lorde to exercise her songwriting and showcase her voice, which I think was kind of lacking on, or not lacking, but like she didn't have many tracks on Pure Heroine where she got to, you know, show off her pipes. So I'm happy that this is here.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else to say?
I'm pretty much good.
I wanted to say something about the last 2 lines. So the last 2 lines where she says, "They're gonna watch me disappear into the sun. You're all gonna watch me disappear into the sun." Every time I listen to that, I listen to those lines and I feel like there's some deeper meaning to it, but I've never gotten it. So like I wanted to hear what you guys thought.
Oh, okay, I could talk about this. I was gonna mention that, so it sounds like she's referring to like the Icarus myth. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Where like it's like the wings, you're flying too close to the sun.
Yeah.
That's what I really
That would make sense.
thought of when I first listened to it, and I was gonna mention that, but I forgot. But when she's saying like they're gonna watch me disappear into the sun, it's basically like she's flying too high and she's gonna come down eventually. That's what I got, because like the Icarus myth is like Icarus flew too high and then his wings burnt in the sun and then he crashed and burned.
I really like that interpretation.
So
Yeah, that's really interesting.
that's what I really thought, and that's like without me like checking like Genius or something. So like I don't know what the actual meaning is, but that's what I took it as, because
Genius, yeah.
the
I'm
whole
reading it
song
right
is
now.
about like
It doesn't talk about that
the whole
at
song
all.
is about like her flaws basically. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm a liability. You know what I mean? Like she's talking about how she's a problem and stuff like that, and ending it with the myth of Icarus where he falls because of his own like hubris. I think that's I think it's like a great way to end the song, and it's an excellent metaphor. And it's very like
I
relatable.
really like that, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a great like detail to add there, because it's like sort of abstract, you know what I mean? Like it kind of relates whether you know what she's talking about or not.
Yeah.
But that's definitely what I thought the metaphor was, and I guess it works out.
She's so good at like describing imagery and everything exactly how she's going through when And then even if it happened years ago, she's so good at explaining exactly what happens at each point in her life and describing that in this album. And that's really what I like about it, is because you can relate to stuff that she talks about.
Yeah, I fully agree,
Yeah.
and I want to bring up two examples of that
Yeah.
crazy imagery she's so good at in this song. So just the lines, he don't want to know me, says he made the big mistake of dancing in my storm. Just I love the dancing in my storm metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just she's so hard to please, but she's a forest fire. I
Yeah.
love that.
The nature metaphors are almost as good as the teeth metaphor.
Almost as good.
Almost.
Almost
But
as good.
so the longest track on the album, Hard Feelings, Loveless, which I guess counts as 2 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about this? Because I have like mixed feelings.
I love it.
I love it.
No, I love it.
Y'all like it?
Yeah, I had some mixed feelings too. I really like Hard Feelings. Loveless, I'm not so sure. Loveless, I'm still kind of ambivalent towards. I'm not I kind of know what she was going for there. It seems kind of ironic because like when she's repeating or when she's spelling out loveless like Lovelles.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of like she's mocking the people who say like, oh yeah, teenagers are always self-destructive in their love and whatever. But I don't know, the way it just kind of fades out with nothing happening, it feels really tacked on, I guess, to the end. Not sure how everyone else feels, but yeah, that's my take on it.
I think I like Hard Feeling more than
I do
Loveless.
I think if Loveless was longer, I'd like Loveless longer. Or I'd like
Yeah.
Loveless more.
I think it could have been separate tracks. I don't really see the need to.
Same, yeah, I feel like it ended way too abruptly for me.
But like when I was listening to Hard Feelings and then when Loveless came in and it was like this super light, like bouncy track, I was like blown away and I really enjoyed it. But like then you listen to the lyricism and it's like really vitriolic and like sort of dickish. But I love when Lorde talks about like her own generation and like us as a people collectively. Like I don't know why, but she usually gets it really accurate. So like when she's talking about how we're a loveless generation, fucking with each other's heads, it's like, yeah, exactly, you're correct. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think they could have been separate tracks. I wish Loveless was longer and didn't start fading out like 40 seconds before it's over.
Yeah, I wish it didn't start fading out so early, but I guess I'm in the minority because Loveless is my favorite part of this song and one of my favorite moments on the album. Just when she sings, well, guess what? I like that. Just, I love her delivery and her tone. And yeah.
'Cause I'm gonna mess your life up. That stuff.
And I love the part in between the two songs, that like instrumental where I don't even know what kind of instruments, if they even are instruments that are being used in this part in between, but it almost sounds like metal gates being like shut and closed and like weird like production and stuff like that in between, and I thought it was extremely like cool and experimental and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the Hard Feelings screechings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
Is it her screaming? Is that what that
screeching.
is?
I don't. It's so like it could be vocals, but it kind of reminds me of Kanye West, which is like good because Lorde obviously loves Kanye and like looks up to him. But like there was a Vox video obviously about how Kanye uses the voice as an instrument, and like I think it could be vocals like so distorted to the point where they sound like that, but also I have no idea what that is, but it sounds great.
I think that what you guys thought about Greenlight, how it was so like uncharacteristic of Lorde. I think that's how Loveless sounds, sort of like where it's like it doesn't sound like a Lorde song. Like it sounds too cutesy. I don't know. Like I go into a Lorde song expecting like dark but not really, like production and just like an atmosphere, and like this sounds like really really like happy, which is weird because of the lyric content, but I just think that it sounds like really really happy, and it's so out of character where it throws me off, and I think that's why I don't like it a lot. It's just like so like peppy for a song that's has such weird lyric content. Specifically Loveless, not Hard Feelings, but
Loveless reminds me of the Love Club because Lord, like, she had like sort of happy songs on her old stuff, like on the Love Club EP, obviously the Love Club, and then like $1 Million Bills, where it's like still with her sort of dark lyrical content, but like has light production that's like, you know, a bit poppy, if you could say that. So I'm glad she didn't like completely abandon that and leave all that behind and included like a semi happy, even if it's kind of fucked up lyrically, song on it. So it just reminds me of like her old stuff, which I really enjoy.
you guys want to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Sure.
So, yeah, when I said Sober was my favorite track on the album, this is actually my favorite track on the album, and it's fitting because it's Sober 2, Melodrama. It serves as an interlude, but I think that, oh my god, this song is one of the best songs this year. Like,
I
Yeah.
fully agree.
it's just amazing.
I don't understand like why people are calling it one of the best songs of on the album, but I love the trap beat toward the end
Oh my
after
god, yes, yes, yes,
uh
yes.
after I don't even remember which part it was when it started up, but I love that part when the beat switches into that trap part, and I thought that was really good. But otherwise, I liked other songs better than this, although this was like top 5 probably.
Hmm. I think for some reason it really like connects to the album art, which is maybe
Mhm.
why she titled it to Melodrama. Because like with the lavish like orchestral sound that like ties into the drum beat, it reminds me of obviously the painting that she has for the cover, where it's like sort of classical but also modern, um, and like when you look deeper into it, it's really like dark. So I really enjoy that track.
Hmm. The first time I listened to it was in the Coachella set, and I was like blown away.
Hmm.
Like when the
Mhm.
trap beat kicked in, I literally was like I gasped. I was so shook the first time I heard that, and it even sounds better like on recording. It's just all around amazing. Every element just comes together.
I really
Um,
like how the instrumentation mirrors the lyrical content and the title because right when you start it off, it's like you're listening to a song called Melodrama and it sounds melodramatic right from the start, like these huge
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
strings, and then it all just cuts out and she starts singing softly, and then the trap beat comes in. It's all really dynamic and portrays this kind of extra kind of emotion. So I thought that was really fitting. It's like over the top feeling.
This is like the quintessential Lorde song, which is weird because it sounds different than everything else she's done, but I think it's really like the quintessential kind of song. It has like her excellent writing. It sounds really really like, I keep using atmospheric, but I think that's just Lorde production in general. It's just kind of very very like atmospheric, and when the trap beat kicks in, I think that's great at summing up all of her influences over the past year, because we mentioned before she is influenced by Kanye and hip hop, and she like loves
Hmm.
modern hip hop artists. So I think that's a great way to just incorporate all her modern like influences and the people that she really really like admires in terms of artistry.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy song.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Oh,
Commas?
okay, I'll say something. Um, this is, I feel like I'm
Mhm.
saying this about every song, but this is another one of my favorite songs on the album and this year. And I'd agree that
Mhm.
lyrically, this sounds like the quintessential Lord song. And I just love the way the trap beat comes in. And there's really nothing much else I can say on this song besides I love it.
Yeah. I just think that it's great, and I like how she incorporates the album title into it while without making it sound corny. Um,
Yeah, it's not
You know what I
like
mean? Like,
forced in. It's not. Yeah,
yeah, and being in the middle of the album, it's the perfect place
it's
to,
not like she's forcing metaphors around it or anything.
yeah, it's just like, it's like, it's really hard for me to talk about how much I love this song because I love it so much. Like, if I could give this song like a 12 out of 10, I would because it's just so great. But I also think that it's a great, like, explicit Lorde song. You know what I mean? Like, the way she curses in
Yeah.
this, like, it's
Yeah.
deliberate and it, like, adds to the impact.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's like it's sharp.
yeah.
She uses them really purposefully on this album. There's no
Yeah.
just like random swearing.
Mhm.
Like she uses it when she needs to make a point or something,
She doesn't overdo it.
which is a lot of the time, but like it works.
Yeah, and it definitely adds to the impact. I especially noticed it on this album. Like how she curses on Homemade Dynamite. I forget what the exact thing is, but it has, like, impact. So, next song. Another ballad, probably. This is probably my least favorite on the album. Writer in the
Scream.
Dark.
This one was very polarizing.
No, oh my god.
Yeah, it's my least favorite too.
Oh, colors, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. Rider in the Dark. I love it. I love her. I love how it's just a monotone, everything else, and then the chorus hits, and then her voice is just like, it doesn't even sound anything similar to what it did before. And she comes in with this, like, it's like, not, you can't really tell if she's happy or if she's sad or if, like, both. But then she's just, like, yelling about her love, and I love it so much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that it's like sort of. I don't want to say it's not. It's not a diss on Taylor, obviously, but like the way that it approaches the lyrical content, it's sort of like being self-aware and meta about how this album's about a relationship. Whereas with like Taylor Swift albums, they're all about relationships, but they're like played straight. And this is sort of like a tongue-in-cheek, like, hey, yeah, you dated a writer and you broke up with her. This is the shit that happens when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's like sort of her acknowledging that. Whereas like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
with Taylor, it's just like, I'm going to write an album about that and not say anything about it. So I like that Lorde sort of is like, yeah, I know it's cheesy, but I'm a writer. This is how I cope with things.
You know how I said Sober 2 is, like, the quintessential Lorde song because it has all her elements? I feel like Writer in the Dark does the same thing, but it also, like, it bothers me. Like, this is, like, again, this is a very, very, like, average Lorde song, and I think because of that, there's a lot of things that are, like, played up that bother me. Like, her voice was never annoying, but it sounds exceptionally raspy on this song, and it just makes me uncomfortable to listen to.
Yeah, someone said that on the Discord that her, like, or, like, I don't know if it was the production or just, like, her vocals in general the mixing doesn't sound very good.
Oh, the mixing on this track, I really did not like. Like the piano is way too quiet, and her voice sounds like extremely loud to me. And like when this track first came on, I was like, why is she screaming into my ears? What is this?
I love it though.
Yeah, it's just like the rasp is exceptionally strong. I think like on this album her voice is a lot more raspy because she is older, but it's really played up on this song and it just bothers my ears. Like I've listened to this song only like twice because it's just hard to listen to. And the lyrics to me are very, very, it's like she's parodying herself. Like, bet you rue the day. Like, I hate that line so much. Just because of the, like, it sounds weird.
Neville from iCarly.
It just sounds weird and, like, it's uncomfy and it's, like, really, really dissonant where you're, like, it makes it sound like she's kind of making fun of the way she writes. Which I guess fits in the context of the song, but at the same time, it's like, it sounds weird. Like, the way she sings it, the way it's written, it's just, like, an odd-sounding song.
I really like the chorus to it, though. Like, I said I don't like the mixing, but I think it does get better around the chorus. And I really like her delivery in the chorus because she sounds like she's going crazy in love. She almost sounds like she's on the verge of tears while trying to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I got from her delivery, especially with like paired with the lyrics where she says, "I'll love you till my breathing stops. I'll love you till you call the cops on
Yeah.
me." It's like purposefully over the top, purposefully melodramatic,
Hmm.
and yeah. Mm. So
I do like that part
yeah,
though.
that I do like this song because of the chorus, but that's kind of yeah.
I also think it definitely continues the lyrical themes that are on like Loveless, where she's like talking about, I believe, like breaking up, you know what I mean? Like, bet you want to skip my calls now and stuff like that. And then
Yeah,
it's like very, very like stalkerish on this song where she's like, I'll love you till you call the cops on me.
yeah, yeah. I got that vibe
Yeah,
too.
like it's very, very like odd sounding and it's kind of weird, but Loveless is the same way, so I think it's a great lyrical connector,
Yeah.
cutting through Sober too. Yeah, want to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess we should move on.
Yeah, Mudkip has to leave, so farewell.
Goodbye.
But the rest of the podcast will be me, Tucker, Commas, and Ben. So moving on to the next song, our third to last track, Supercut.
I like this one. It's
Question mark?
yeah, I like. No, I mean, obviously, I like it. I like the whole album, but the I don't know. If Greenlight is the most generic sounding, this is sort of the most generic lyrically to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I don't connect with it as much, but I do like the melodies are really good and the sound is really good. And I do like the idea. It sort of sounds nostalgic, which is a really hard sound to capture.
Yeah.
But going with the themes of the song, it manages to sound nostalgic, which is like really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really connect with it on the same level as I do with a lot of the other songs, but it's still a really good song.
I think it's like kind of really, really radio friendly. I think she made that track in particular, Supercut, very like good for pop radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
It definitely sent.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's like a very, very generic sounding song while also being like filling the void of no Lord on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you can tell she knows she's making a generic sound with this, like with the production and all, but she still tries to claim it as her own through the lyricism. Like she doesn't try to make super generic lyrics that you would normally hear over this type of track.
Yeah.
It still sounds distinctly Lord to me. So
yeah, I think it approaches the way of like looking back on a relationship in a unique way, especially with the imagery, because she's really, really fucking good at imagery. But yeah.
Yeah, I had to look up what a supercut was. I was listening to this song, I was like, what?
And then obviously it goes back to the car theme with like radio and
the radio.
Cars and teeth.
Cars and teeth. That should be the sound of her next album.
I felt the chorus was a bit too bare bones. Repetition of lyrics usually doesn't bother me, but I felt like there wasn't a huge build up to the chorus. It just kind of continued from what the pre-chorus was doing, sonically at least. And so I was expecting this huge rise or climax or something like that, but it never happened. So I was like, all right, this is...
I do like the refrain a lot. Like
the refrain. Oh, yeah.
The outro to the song.
Yeah, I'm looking at Genius right now.
I like that.
Nice.
There's a extended instrumental outro that's really good that I like that makes the song hit really hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite moments on the whole album.
Mm.
Wait, and it leads directly into the liability reprise. So
Oh yeah,
like
it's
where
very,
and then,
very seamless.
like you can't even tell when the song changes.
Yeah, super seamless.
Mhm.
And I love when albums do that. So yeah.
I think that's a great thing.
And I like they when they do it in a way that like it still works on shuffle, so it doesn't have this weird jarring cut.
Oh my god, yeah, I hate when albums do that. I think this album would be great to have on vinyl because of how seamless the transitions are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like from Supercut to Liability Reprise, I think that'd be really, really cool just to hear the seamless like transition on a record.
Speaking of transition,
Speaking of transitions, let's talk about the next track, Liability Reprise. I don't think there's much to say about this, but does anybody have anything to add?
I really like it. I think that it's sort of like it definitely feels like a continuation of Supercut somehow,
Mm.
um, but while still tying into the themes of liability. Uh, I think it's sort of the weirdest lyrically, but it's not really trying to be any sort of lyrical breakthrough. It's just a reprise of the previous track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way that it sounds and the way that the music progresses, and especially how it like sort of just comes into like um, a vocal showcase at the end with like the whole choir and everyone in the
Oh yeah, I
background.
love the overlapping vocals in this. I actually like this track more. I like this
Yeah.
track more than the original Liability, just because I love the I don't know if it's a vocoder, but it almost sounds like that. Like the effects over her voice that makes it sound like there's chords going on underneath. Like it sounds like she's harmonizing with herself.
Yes.
Oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
I just love that.
It
And this
sounds
sounds
great.
kind of like it's resolving the themes that were set out in Liability, like the first Liability, because I don't know, at the end of that track, it felt like they were kind of unresolved. Like you don't really know at that point what Lord is gonna do, or how she's gonna solve this inner conflict that she was talking about. But it kind of feels finished up here.
Yeah, and therefore its placement makes a lot of sense on the album, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it being the second last track works perfectly.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, I think it's like it sort of ties up the themes of the album before leading into Perfect Places, which is sort of like I feel like sort of the
Yeah,
epilogue.
That's
But
what
yeah,
I
this
was
feels
just
like
about to say, Tucker. Yeah, I
yeah.
was just about to mention that. I think that like since like like I think in movies and stuff, like I
Ooh,
think
SCA
that
film kid.
yeah, um like I think that if this album was a film, I think that this would probably be like the end of the movie, and then Perfect Places would be like the last scene or whatever, where it's like everything's kind of good again. Like this is a good place to basically end the album, and then Perfect Places, I feel like should be a
it's
bonus
almost like
track,
on
but
Lemonade
it's
where you
not.
have Formation at the end, and Formation was literally the credits of the Formation or of the Lemonade movie. So
Yes.
yeah, I feel like if Melodrama was a movie, Perfect Places would be the
Yeah, I
credits
think
or
that's
just
great.
the last scene where everything's fine, like the resolution.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
I read something that I haven't picked up on it, so I don't know if you guys did, but I read something that this ties into the party theme because like there's like a noise of like people cleaning up plates at the beginning of this song, like the party's over.
Well, that's turns into like cleaning up the champagne glasses.
I didn't hear it.
I don't really hear it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't heard that actually.
I don't hear it. I thought I read something online that that was like a sound at the beginning or like throughout the song. But I think that does a great job at like tying together the whole party theme starting from Green
Yeah.
Light. And I thought that it was a great subversion of like the original Liability.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think this is definitely like a different take of like Liability is a lot of like internal kind of like turmoil, and then Liability Reprise is like general.
Yeah. I think I'm still
Like she's talking about this to other people.
yeah. I'm still trying to. I think it's sort of like a response to liability because that whole last line with "because you're not what you thought you were" is sort of like
Mm-hmm.
you're not that great, dude. Like with the whole theme of self
Yeah.
love and liability and loving your and being able to appreciate yourself. It's like when in liability reprise where she's like, "That's not what you think it is." Like you're a flawed person. And this is a flawed world. You're not your best friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if this is the end of the movie, then Perfect Places is the
11 out
epilogue.
of 10.
Um,
Best track, song of the year, album of the year, everything. This is the best thing ever created by a person since fire.
Yeah, that's a hot take, but I'd agree. um, yeah, Perfect Places is my pop song of the year. I'd say it's tied with song of the year with Kendrick's DNA for me. But Yeah, this song is so amazing. Her writing, the beat, it gives me like pure heroin continuation vibes. And I love this song so much.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I know Tucker will talk about it for 10
Oh
years,
hell yeah!
so take
You
it away.
better cut me off. This is just like all of the themes of not even just melodrama, but also pure heroin, like come to a head in this song. I feel like where Lord's like finally realizing what she's been talking about for the past two albums, like that we're not perfect people. There's no perfect. We're all trying to live like we're trying to reach a destination, but none of us know what that destination is, and we're all just trying to live our lives together. And Perfect Places is like the lyrical pinnacle of Lord's music career for me. It's I feel like it's tied with Ribs for her best track. I think that the way that I experienced it
Wow.
was like the best because I didn't listen to it as a single because I feel like if I listened to it as a single before listening to the album, it would have tampered my expectations. But I feel like it's a perfect closing track, and the way that it builds on everything Lord's been talking about for the past 4 years is like just genius. I love this so much. And then with the I always get chills at the line "all of our heroes fading," um, because obviously she wrote this last year when a bunch of people died, and it was really sad. Um, but yeah, like we're young and we're ashamed. We're off our faces. We're trying to get to perfect places. What the fuck are perfect places? I don't know. I could just recite the song line by line and say each line's my favorite line.
I think that like she does a great job at like creating like pop perfection here. I just think it sounds like very, very frothy while also being the typical Lord sound.
Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
chorus is.
You know what I mean?
I
Like it
feel like this
reminds
is
me
the
of kind
most
of like,
movie track to me.
yeah, like it's so atypical of Lord, but it sounds like a Lord song anyway. Like it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sound like she made it,
That
but I can listen to this and be like, oh, this is a Lord song. You know what I mean? Like it's really, really weird. It just sounds so different for her while also being like something I've heard a million times before.
Yeah.
It's familiar in a good way.
Yeah, that's what she did. It's what she did so well on most of this album, I think, is use sounds that were not necessarily original or completely new to the genre of pop, but at the same time she made them hers and she made them
Hmm.
distinct.
Mm-hmm. And I think it really ties to the musical themes of the album too, with everything so like sonically different, like from the drum beats of Sober to like the screeches of Hard Feelings to the bubblegum poppiness of Loveless. It's like nothing's perfect. Like since like everything's so varied and all of the themes are so different and nothing really comes together. Um, that this is just her saying like, yeah, this shit, nothing's perfect. Everything's gonna be different. You can't expect things to be polished and perfect in this world. I just said perfect a lot, but whatever.
I think it does a great job of kind of concluding the album. I just thought it was
Yeah,
amazing to have as like an ender, you know what I mean? To close it all off.
yeah. This is my favorite album closer since
Yeah.
Contact from Daft Punk.
Wow.
Oh my
Oh,
god! I
yeah.
almost forgot to talk about the chit chit. Oh my god, that's like the
Oh yeah,
best
I was
moment in music. Right before the chorus kicks in, where she
I
cocks the
can't
gun
believe
after
Lord
saying that she'll
invented
blow her
music.
brains out to the radio. Oh my god, I'm dead. I'm deceased. I cannot believe she created music with her mouth.
she invented pop, she invented
Oh
everything.
yeah,
Just
but that part is like it goes so hard. I just love that entire part.
I never realized that it connected to the previous line because I don't usually pay that much attention to lyrics when I'm listening to music, but like I'll blow my brains out to the radio and then
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, that works so well and then the chorus just literally explodes. Like
yeah. And then the last couple
such a
lines where
great
she's
moment.
just like, I feel like this whole track sort of goes through all the musical themes of the album with like the bombastic chorus of like stuff like Green Light or the Louvre, and then like the those little cute sounds that she makes like in Homemade Dynamite, and then she goes really slow at the end with like just a refrain, like with Liability and Rider in the Dark. So I feel like this sort of encapsulates all the ideas and all the sounds of the album while tying it off.
Yeah, I thought it does a great job at kind of concluding everything that we've heard. Like it makes it sound like a piece of art, and like it has a beginning and middle of an end, like we're looking at a movie or something. It's
Mm-hmm.
very immersive. But since that was the last track, what do you guys think of the album as a whole? Like, where does it place on like your album of the year ranking and stuff like that? Like, what do you guys think?
It's my album of the year.
Yeah?
And probably one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, I know it's really early to say that, but I've been having it on repeat since it released, and it's like I can't find many flaws with it. I'm putting it like on or above the level of Pure Heroin, because it really does feel like Pure Heroin evolved, especially when it goes into the themes that Pure Heroin delved into, because Pure Heroin was mostly like, this is my generation, this is me talking about me living it through my teenage years and me looking back through my youthful days. And then this was sort of her building on those musings that she started to explore in Pure Heroin, but now with the, I don't know if you could say wisdom because she's only 20, but the new experiences that she has now as a 20-year-old. And she's obviously learning new things and proclaiming those new things out to the world. I think a lot of it has to do with like my own experience, like listening to Pure Heroin throughout high school and basically living out all the themes that existed throughout that album. I'm excited for this one because Lord is obviously 4 years older than me, and it feels like I'm about to live through the experiences that she's talking about in this album as well. So I don't know. I really just could connect with this album, and I love it to the earth and back.
The Earth, not like the moon or
The
something.
earth. I meant the ends of the earth, but you know,
The earth
I
and
can't
back.
talk when I'm praising Lord.
Commas, what do you think?
All right, so 4 of these songs, Perfect Places, The Louvre, Hard Feelings Loveless, and Sober 2, made my like top 10 songs of the year easily. I love just about
Wow.
every song on this album. And at the moment, it's by far my album of the year. Just it's above
Yeah.
Damn, but like there's a huge drop off. I love Melodrama that much. And I've listened to it maybe 25 times since it dropped a week ago. So, yeah, I really love the album, and I can't wait to see what she does next. And, oh, and this might be crazy to say so early, but I think it might be like my favorite pop album, just like ever, low key.
Yeah.
Of all
Just
time.
low key, though. Above
Ever?
Emotion. Low key.
Yeah, that's above Emotion, honestly. Like, it's really hard to compare them, but like, I don't know if this is like, Emotion's like sort of the generic pop perfection, but this is like just sort of elevating pop into a new league. It's just, yeah. It feels, I've heard people call it pop's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and I agree with that analysis.
I think that this album does a great job of like immersing you in what like is going on in the imagery and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it relies on like what you're doing as a person and where you are in your life, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're like a teenager or in college or whatever. Like I think a lot of it and your opinion on the album relies on where you are mentally and physically. So I think
Yeah,
that right
definitely.
now I like the album. I mean, I like the album a lot. I'd give it probably like an 8.5 out of 10.
Too low.
But at the same time, I think that it'll definitely grow on me like over time because of like living real life experiences and getting attached to these songs emotionally. I think like Pure Heroine did a great job of getting me to warm up to it just because of how much I was listening to it. Like the first time I listened to Pure Heroine, I was like, this is alright, you know what I mean? Like nothing special. But then I listened to like 400 Lux for the 6th time and I was like, okay, it clicked finally. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I feel like the tracks that I'm not too keen on this album, like Writer in the Dark or Supercut or Hard Feelings, like I think those will just grow on me over time. So I'm not really worried when I say it's not such a good album. But like I think Pure Heroine is better than this by far, but also this is still an 8.5 out of 10 and I feel like it'll get better the more I listen to it. Like I think that like when I listen to like Supercut 2 years down the line, I'll be like, oh, like that's something to
I get it.
relate to.
Yeah.
Ben, what about you?
Oh, well, like I said before, I think like all of Lord's music for me, they're all growers. Like I never really love it on first listen. And I even feel the same about this album because I think when I first listened to Melodrama on the day it came out and I was like, this is really all right. Like it didn't wow me at all. And I thought Pure Heroine was much better. But the more I listened to it, I've listened to it many times in the last week. And like overall, I have to say I really think it's better produced than Pure Heroine on that level. And lyrically, I feel like it's more cohesive and just connected overall. Like I just really like the way everything sounds, and I had the same thing happen to me with Pure Heroine. Like I first listened to it in 2013, and I was only 13, and I only listened to like generic pop and stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is not that good. But then I returned to it in 2016, and I was like, I listened to it, and now Ribs is probably one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely see this happening with Melodrama. I think it's a great album. On my current list, because I do those album ratings everyone likes to do, it's number 4 on my albums of 2017, and it keeps rising, so I'll just see what happens. But yeah, I really like this album.
It's kind of an excellent album, like objectively speaking, like rather than my own personal opinion. I think that it's one of the most perfect albums that I've heard
Objectively
this year.
iconic.
Yeah.
Objectively fantastic.
Objectively the best
music.
album of all time. Just
like Process is still my album of the year, like by Sampha, but I think this album really exemplifies a lot of the production elements of why I like Process so much. Like it's very clean, it's nice to listen to, like it's just a very well kept and produced album, and I like that a lot. Since Mudkip had to leave before, he told me to add that he thinks it's a 10 out of 10 and that it's album of the year for sure, and quote unquote that if you don't like it, you need to get your ears checked. Please do. That is
Time is measured before Melodrama and after Melodrama.
Yeah, that's a direct quote from Mudkip, but the time is a direct quote from Tucker. So
yeah, we've entered a new era.
Before Melodrama, after Melodrama,
post Melodrama era.
Yeah, so is that it? Anybody have any last minute comments?
Listen to Melodrama.
Yeah, stream it on Spotify.
Buy Melodrama on iTunes.
If you haven't, I don't know why you listened to this entire podcast, but yeah.
I just want to say that I'm a nerd who rates albums in my spare time, and Melodrama has my 6th highest rating ever. So yeah, I love it.
That's crazy.
I don't rate albums, but yeah, same.
So I guess that's it.
I think that we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. All right. So yeah, that was Melodrama. Hope you guys enjoyed this special episode of Cars and Teeth Popheads podcast. Once again, I am your host, 4th of July.
I'm Commas.
I'm Tuck.
And he's Ben.
And I'm Ben.
So, thank you for listening. And tune in next episode, where we talk about albums like Witness and Hopeless Fountain Kingdom, aka the other June releases that we haven't mentioned. So, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.